Oh yeah, we're doing it today. Is everyone ready to do it today? Are you ready to do it today? Cause I'm ready to do it today. Barry, are you ready to do this today? Oh yeah, lock in. All right, everyone good? All right, because wait, whoa. Someone's not ready to do it today. You're not ready? Oh, today doesn't work for you? We can push it back till tomorrow, maybe next week. Everyone has schedules. It's kind of hard to get a time and date for everyone to get ready to do the thing, okay? All right, we good? All right, well, you sure? We can do this another time. All right, you ready to do it today? All right, everyone's ready to do it today. All right. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be answering a question that has plagued mankind since the dawn of time itself. Or if you want to be more specific, August 30th, 2010, because that was the chapter of One Piece, that was chapter 597, where Rayleigh actually explained how hockey worked, you know, where he was beating up that poor elephant on Ruscaina with the thin legs. You know, he's like, there's observation hockey, haha! Here's armament hockey, ba-ba! And here's conqueror's hockey, where I just knock the poor elephant out, and that's just how it goes, right? So we found out how hockey worked in that chapter right before the time skip, and of course, up until that point in the story, we all knew about devil fruits. We found out some more stuff like awakenings after the time skip, but for the most part, we understood how devil fruits work there, and we got two major power systems in One Piece. We got devil fruits and we got hockey. Yeah, there's some other kind of like martial arts styles, there's swords and things, but I think hockey and devil fruits are like the main ones. Also, minor tangent to that, it has been almost a decade since the time skip. Yeah, so if you've been reading One Piece as long as I have, I started I think in 2009 and the time skip happened October 4th, 2010 was the first chapter after the time skip, so I'm starting to feel old. But anyway, that's just minor tangent. So yeah, today we're going to be looking at devil fruits and hockey and determining which one is better. Now, a few caveats to that. I'm sure a few people are like right out of the gate are going to be like, Matt, you know, they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can have a devil fruit power and combine it with hockey. That's what Luffy does. That's the whole point of Gear 4th. You know, he combines armament hockey with his Gamu Gamu no Mi to create a giant hardened rubber ball man, okay? And then a snake-based man and a tank-based man. What other based kind of men will he have at his disposal? We'll just have to wait and see. But yes, obviously you can combine hockey with devil fruit powers. Hockey, of course, has the benefit of allowing a normal human to punch a Logia, even if they're in their elemental state. So there's some advantages there. So for the purposes of this video, I'm basically going to ask you guys, you know, if you had to pick one or the other, if you get isekai'd into the One Piece world, which honestly, maybe I should make this Isekai Part 3, but I'm doing this instead. But yeah, I mean, could I maybe do that another time? But yeah, if you were sucked into the One Piece world and you had to choose one or the other, a devil fruit power or, you know, learn and train in hockey. And keep in mind also, like, probably even the people in One Piece that have both and have mastered both, like the admirals and stuff, they probably didn't train at the same time, you'd figure, because you'd think that if you get a devil fruit power, especially a Logia, something that's like kind of hard to rein in and control, it's going to probably take a little while to train in that, and you know, you're going to master one or the other first. Luffy definitely worked with his Gamu Gamu no Mi first, so he already had a good idea on how to use his powers, and then Rayleigh taught him about hockey, and he's like, okay, I'm going to learn the basics of hockey, and then I'm going to try to incorporate my hockey into my Gamu Gamu no powers, okay? So it's probably one or the other, but we're going to look at, like, okay, which one would you pick if you had to decide, okay? And which one is better, you know? And so for that, I have a bunch of categories here. So we're going to look at those today. There's 5 categories I have: accessibility, choice of the power, the overall strength of the power, the versatility of the power, and maybe other miscellaneous advantages it could provide. Probably other topics, other categories you can involve here, but that's just what came off the top of my head. Okay, so the first category we're going to be tackling is accessibility, okay? So this is how exactly you receive this power to begin with, all right? How exactly do you find out about it? How do you receive it? And that's just basically there. We're not into, like, training with the power yet. We're just, how do you get your hands on it, okay? So, devil fruits, I know they're kind of a dime a dozen in the One Piece world right now. Pretty much every island that the Straw Hats go to, you're bound to have, like, an entire group of people that have powers of devil fruits. Especially now in Wano, because Kaido has the power of, like, the smiles and the artificial zones and everything like that, and so you got a bunch of gifters on his crew. But even before that, it's like the Straw Hats arrive at Dressrosa, here's the Doflamingo family, and a big chunk of those guys all had devil fruit powers. You show up at Punk Hazard, you got 2 Logia users hanging out there, you know, it just seems to happen, like, there's a lot of them wherever the Straw Hats go to keep the story interesting. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, Oda introduces the concept of devil fruits. You can can bet your bottom dollar whenever we have a new story arc, there's going to be a bunch new Devil Fruit users. But it wasn't always like that. Oda really made a point to bring it up, like, you know, Devil Fruits are way more prevalent in the Grand Line, you know, Paradise in the New World. We didn't really get to see that many Devil Fruit users in the East. You know, we saw Buggy and Smoker and Luffy, of course, obviously. We know from the Ace light novel that Ace got his powers, the Maramara no Mi, on an island in the East. But we weren't really encountering Devil Fruit users every single arc. Alvida eventually got her fruit. I always forget Alvida in the East because she got it later. But yeah, so we saw a few Devil Fruit users in the East, but when we got to the Grand Line with like Baroque Works and everything, and then the government and the Marines, we got a lot more, all right? So basically, it's hit or miss, you know, it depends on where you end up. If you do get isekai'd into the One Piece world, if you end up on a random island in the West Blue, maybe you might find a Devil Fruit somewhere, but it's more likely to find in the Grand Line. So you actually have to actively seek out the fruit. You basically just have to get really lucky. You have to be really lucky, you have to have a lot of money, or you have to have ties with an organization that could get Devil Fruits for you. So I'm sure, like, not every single member of Baroque Works or every single member of the Marines found the Devil Fruits themselves. And maybe they did, but I think it's more likely that, like, Crocodile was the head of Baroque Works, and his organization, if someone found a Devil Fruit, they handed it over to him, and he handed it off to the officer agents, because they took precedence, okay? The Marines, you know, what if, for example, the Marines are out there, you know, you have a ship, and you have, like, a commander of the ship, like a Marine-ranked commander, or like a rear admiral or somebody, okay? And they land on an island, and all the Marine foot soldiers, all, like, the seaman recruits or whatever, and the seaman apprentices, and all variations of the seamen are out on the island, and they're scouring the place. What if, like, one of the lowest ranked Marines finds a Devil Fruit? You know, I'm sure there's probably laws that dictate in the Marines, like, if you find one of these things, if you're like a lower ranked officer, you can't just eat it. You have to turn it into a commanding officer, and then maybe the commanding officer is allowed to eat it, or he turns it back into like the higher ups in the Marines, and then they decide which members of the Marines should get it. Because you look at the vice admirals, a bunch of them have Devil Fruit abilities. The admirals obviously have them. I find it hard to believe that, you know, Akainu directly found the magma fruit. You know, I feel like the Marines at large found these fruits, gave them back over to the higher-ups, and then they decided who gets the fruits, okay? Something along that line, okay? So if you're part of an organization like that, you could get the fruit pretty easily. If you have a lot of money, we see Devil Fruits can be sold. You know, like the case with the Oppi Oppi no Mi, it's sold for like 10 billion, although this thing was like the most, it was regarded by many to be the strongest Devil Fruit in existence, so that would kind of make sense. Or you could just get really, really lucky. You could end up on an island, and like Ace on Sixus, like the Maramara no Mi, just washed ashore one day, and like, oh, that's convenient. Oh, it's a Logia! Cool! I could shoot fire now, alright? So, my point is here, and the weakness of accessibility to Devil Fruits is, it's not just like you have to train really hard and you'll awaken the power, like hockey, or you have to have a master that teaches you, or anything like that. No, you have to have connections, or you have to get really, really lucky to get your hands on a Devil Fruit. And in some parts of the world, like in the East, like Morgan stated, like, Devil Fruits are pretty damn rare in certain parts of the world, to the point where they're straight up mythical. You know, where there's like, oh yes, we heard that there are these Devil Fruits that exist, you know, but we don't know if they're real or not. Honestly, you think Morgans would have definitely known, because he's a member of the Marines. Even if he's on an outpost way in the boonies of the East Blue, you'd figure, you know, he's a member of the Marines. He should know that, oh yeah, the Admirals, they have Devil Fruit powers. Yeah, so they definitely are real. But in some parts of the world, they're just straight up mythical. So, yeah, accessibility to Devil Fruits really depends on where you're at, but nothing is guaranteed. Absolutely not. Even if you end up in an island on, you know, in the New World, it's not a guarantee you'll find one, right? So that's accessibility. With Haki, it was explained by Rayleigh that pretty much every living creature has the potential to awaken Haki. Because Haki just means, you know, ambition or willpower or something of that nature, right? So it's one of those things kind of like Nen in Hunter x Hunter, where it's like everybody has the potential to awaken it. It's not like only the chosen few that have it. That's Conqueror's Haki. Only a few can awaken the color of the Emperor Conquerors. But when it comes to observation and armament, yeah, with the proper training training and with the proper discipline and kind of a headspace here, you can awaken Haki. Now, you still need to have, like, a proper teacher. Luffy could awaken Haki on his own, but without proper guidance, he really couldn't do much with it. He didn't really know how to control his Conqueror power, but he did awaken it on his own, okay? When he fought against Eneru at Skypiea, he sort of maybe started to understand the basics of mantra or observation Haki, okay? So it's way more likely that it depends on your personality and your ambition and your willpower and stuff, but if you really, really want it, you could awaken your Haki. You might not have a lot of guidance with it unless you have a master, but everybody has the potential to it. So when it comes to accessibility, I'm definitely giving this one over to Haki. All right, just because of everyone having the potential. It's not predicated on you actually finding a fruit and then eating it. Okay, so there's the situation with that. With accessibility, definitely for Haki. Now, the choice of the power. This is something that you might think Haki would immediately win on, because you can't really decide on the Devil Fruit power. Oda even came out and said this. It's like, you don't know what the power is until you eat the fruit. You find the fruit, that's a weird looking fruit, you eat it, and it just kind of like just pings in your brain. Like, ping! That's the Buki Buki no Mi! I can turn my arm into a flamethrower now! That's pretty damn cool! You know, by the way, if you got the Buki Buki no Mi, that would be a pretty good roll on the dice, you know what I mean? Okay. But you don't know until you actually eat it. So you'd think Haki would immediately win out there. However, it's not 100% random, though, because if you're in the One Piece world and you have access to everything that exists in the One Piece world, you might also be able to get your hands on the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, which is what, like, Sanji had when he was a little kid, and also other members, like Blackbeard had it as well. The whole reason that Blackbeard knew about the Yami Yami no Mi and he knew that Thatch had it was because Blackbeard had the encyclopedia, which I'm assuming the encyclopedia is a thing that you could just buy in any bookstore in the One Piece world. It seems pretty common that, like, Blackbeard got his hands on it. Okay, Sanji was a member of the Vinsmokes and the Germa, so they have maybe more connections, but it doesn't seem like that rare of a book. It's regarded by a lot to be fantasy and fiction, you know, like the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. That's like if you went and bought the Monster Girl Encyclopedia. It exists. I don't own a copy, but it exists. It'd be like, Monster Girl Encyclopedia. Pfft, Monster Girls don't really exist. What's the point of owning that? You all just wait. You wait! One day! Alright, but no, it's like, okay, yeah, the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, whatever. But the encyclopedia, it obviously doesn't include every single Devil Fruit, but the ones that it does catalog, it has the design of the fruit, what it looks like, because when they get reincarnated, I guess they look the same every time. The Appi Appi no Mi will always look like a heart every time it's reincarnated. Even, you gotta figure, even the Yami Yami no Mi, which was this really rare Logia, and Blackbeard even said that. He's like, even amongst the Logia class, this one's special, this one's rare. But even the Yami Yami no Mi was still cataloged in the encyclopedia. And we got to see the encyclopedia itself when Sanji was looking at it. We got, like, Oda actually drew what the book looked like. It wasn't like a leaflet or a pamphlet. It looked like a decently sized book, okay? So, not every Devil Fruit's in there, but a good chunk of them are. So if you get your hands on the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia and you find the Appi Appi no Mi, you see this hanging from a tree, you'd be like, hold on a second. That's the freaking Appi Appi no Mi. You would eat it immediately. Now, if you don't have the book, sure, but it's not quite as random as it's set out to say. Now, yeah, if you have the book and you look and you thumb through every single entry in the book and it's not in there, then it's not cataloged, and then at that point, it's just a crapshoot. All right, hope it's a good one. Also, a lot of people might come to say, like, there are no bad Devil Fruit powers, just the bad users, like the not skilled users. Every Devil Fruit has potential. I disagree with that, because there are some Devil Fruits that, like, unless you satisfy certain conditions when you get your hands on them, you definitely won't be able to use them to the fullest extent. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad, like, you're an idiot, like, I'm gonna eat this Devil Fruit, I don't know how to do anything. No, it's like the Appi Appi no Mi is a good example of this. If you eat this fruit and you don't have doctor or, like, surgeon knowledge like Law does, you're not going to be able to use this fruit to its fullest extent. That doesn't mean you're an idiot, you know? If I ate this fruit, you know, I'd be like, okay, I don't know all the... You'd have to read up on it, I guess. You'd have to, like, buy a bunch of, you know, surgeon books and, like, learn how it works to make the fullest extent of this fruit. But this isn't even the perfect example. Like, look at the jacket fruit. I know we always come back to the jacket fruit, but really think about it. The jacket fruit is an ability that turns you into a jacket jacket. While you're a jacket, you can't move. Somebody else has to put you on. So with Kelly and Bobby Funk, who are like mercenary brothers, and they trust each other, it works great for them. But if you do not have someone else that you can trust, and if you kind of work solo or whatever, that fruit is completely useless. You eat the fruit, you turn into a jacket, you don't have anybody you trust to put you on. I guess maybe you could turn into a jacket and like hang yourself up on a coat hook or something and wait for somebody to come in and put you on by accident, but you better make sure, because when you put the jacket on, you can kind of take control of them, but you better make sure the person that puts you on is like compatible with you or whatever, like Bobby and Kelly Funk have that like back and forth there. So the jacket fruit, if you work solo, is not a good fruit, you know? Kinemon's clothing fruit, like it's good for subterfuge and infiltration, but if you're a bruiser, if you're like a power-based fighter, the clothing fruit is not going to help you very much. The Yomi Yomi fruit, we all love Brook, we really do, but it's a really big downside to the fruit that it doesn't take effect until you die. Alright, so you could live like a full life, and you'd be like, oh, okay, and then you died, you finally get the aspects of the fruit, but yeah, that's kind of a big weakness when you first eat it. It's essentially useless. Charlotte, I think Nushi is his name, one of the decuplets, he has the fusion fruit. We don't know how the whole aspects of the fusion fruit work, if you can fuse with anybody, even if they're unwilling, or you have to have trust, or the other persons have to like willingly want to fuse with you, so that could be a downside. If there's nobody around to fuse with, then that fruit's useless. Stroizen's fruit, once again, he can create ingredients out of anything. Good to survive, you'll never starve to death, but, once again, not great for combat capabilities, unless you happen to be on a giant cake chateau that's falling down and you could turn the whole chateau into a cake. I guess it has applications there, but what are the odds of that are going to happen? So those are just some examples of some fruits that if you end up getting by, like if you don't know, like let's say Kinemon's clothing fruit is not in the encyclopedia. It probably wouldn't be because that fruit was in Wano, right? And so you eat the fruit, like I wonder what this one's going to be. I have the ability to change in any clothing I want, and the clothing will disappear if I take it off or it gets damaged. Well, I wanted to be a swordsman, so that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? So, that situation, yeah, the choice of the power, it's not as random as you think, but it's not that great. Now, with Haki, you also don't really get to decide which power that you're going to be, like if it's going to be the observation or armament or conquerors if you're really lucky. But even if you are not, like let's say you want to be gifted in observation, but that's just not your forte, you tend more to the armament side of things, you can still learn observation, kind of going back to Nen a little bit. If you're an enhancer, that doesn't mean you can't learn the other categories. If you're an enhancer, you could still learn transmutation and emission skills, even manipulation skills. You're not going to be very good at it. You're like 40% or 60% capacity, but you could still learn it. So same thing. It's like, Rayleigh said it's kind of more, it's not, he didn't say it as like an actual rule. He just kind of said it as like, people tend to go to one end or the other. There's people that like when you're learning Haki, some people are just more for the observation side, other people are more for armament side. But he didn't say it as like an exact rule. Maybe there are people out there that are perfectly balanced with observation and armament 50-50. They might not know conquerors, but they still have the other kinds like locked down. But from what we see, Sanji is dedicated more to observation, Zoro's more to armament, black swords and stuff like that, and Luffy's gifted in conquerors. But all three of them have access to all three Luffy has access to all three. Zoro and Sanji have access to both observation and armament, okay? Who knows? Maybe Zoro could unlock Conqueror's Haki someday. Maybe. I don't know. But it's just, you got less of a random spin because there's only like 3 possible variations of Haki you can unlock. 2 for most people, 3 if you're really lucky. So once again, I gotta give the choice of powers to Haki here. Because let's say I learn, I'm assuming I'm not really a big physical fighter, so if I did end up learning Haki, my specialty would be observation, but I could still learn armament, if I trained hard enough, okay? So I would still give the choice of the ability over to Haki in this particular instance. Overall strength. This is something now, this is where we start getting into the issue that maybe some of you have already picked up on. Like, Haki is one thing. How the hell are you going to categorize all sorts of devil fruit powers? Like, that's going to be difficult. And the easy answer to that question is I can't. I can't go through every single paramecia, every single logia, every single zone. But for the most part, if we're talking about paramecia fruits that are, you can use in battles. So not like the, Kinemon's clothing fruit, but if it's like any fruit that you can utilize in battle, we've seen that if you can train with this long and hard enough, you can definitely get to the point where you can contend with the best of them. I'm sure a lot of people would not look at Luffy's Gamu Gamu no Mi and immediately think like, oh, that's going to be one of the most badass fruits in the story. Turned out, if Luffy trained with it hard enough, yeah, it kind of did become one of the most badass fruits in the story, okay? Mostly just because it's the main character, of course. But once again, it's a crapshoot. If you end up getting a Logia power, then that is insanely powerful. Even if you're a Logia user and you go up against a Haki user, if you're at all intelligent with how it works, it is not going to be an easy victory for the Haki user. It was for whenever Peckham's fought against Caribou, because Caribou was kind of an idiot, and Peckham's even said, he's like, Logias that think they're invincible have short lifespans in the new world. Boom! And Peckham's just punches Caribou, and he's like, ah! So if you're an idiot with a Logia power, and you're like, I'm invincible, I can do anything! You run across a Haki user for the first time, you're gonna get your ass kicked. But if you're like an admiral, like Akainu, Kizaru, and I was gonna say Fujitora, but Fujitora doesn't have a Logia, but still pretty strong, or Aokiji, they're smart enough to know of like, Haki is a thing. Armament Haki users can hurt us, but that doesn't mean it's an easy victory, because you saw them going like Aokiji went up against freaking Whitebeard. Whitebeard ran his Bisento, or his Naginata, whatever you want to call it, Murakumogiri, directly through Aokiji. Aokiji knowing that's, okay, he's going to stab me with Haki. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange my body using my own observation Haki to sense where he's going to hit me, and also molding my body with ice so that the Naginata kind of passes right through. Alright, so if you're an intelligent user and you also kind of have Haki and you know what you're going on with the Logia form, then you would definitely be able to contend with Haki users, okay? However, when you're talking about, like, zone users are definitely prized for physical strength. Like, I could turn into a boar, I could turn into a lion, I could turn into a bear, a tiger, oh my! All that crazy stuff. That's definitely more physical strength, and I would argue that if you have zone powers, like let's say Dalton's, that allow him to turn into a bison, and he's got the raw physical strength of a bison, up against somebody that has just learning their armament Haki, so they're not very good at it yet, but they're kind of like understanding the footholds of Haki. The raw power of a charging bison up against an amateur user of armament Haki, I'm feeling the bison would probably end up winning. Just because the raw power out of the gate, because you still got to train a little bit with armament to get somewhere. And then with Paramecia, man, it's really difficult to really figure, because you also have special Paramecias in that category. But overall power-based, I'm going to say that Devil Fruits probably have the edge out there, just because, I mean, once again, it depends on the Devil Fruit. There's a lot of things to consider here, but overall, you consider all the Logias, the zones that have physical strength, the mythical zones, the ancient zones, a lot of the Paramecias that have a lot of power in them there. We see this a lot when it comes to, like, Haki, how we're learning how there's different aspects of observation and armament as the story goes. There's observation Haki at the base level, but then there's also future sight Haki, which Katakuri has. There's armament, like the vulcanization, like the black flesh that they can punch people with and stuff like that. We saw that with Luffy at the beginning of the time skip, but we also have, like, the invisible one, and then we also have the one that can kind of, like, infiltrate a foreign body and explode it from the inside out. That's very useful. But if you turn into a jacket and you immediately hit the ground, and the bison just runs right over you, and it just like, it's like it hits a wall or something, and you could turn back into a human, because I don't think you can move while you're a jacket, but you can at least transform back and forth whenever you so choose. Like, I will be a human, I'm gonna be a jacket, human, jacket, and whenever you turn into a jacket, you hit the ground, and you become kind of like Kamiye a little bit, like Paper Body. Not really, you don't get to control it, but, that could be useful in battle, like a fake out or something, like you're about to get punched in the face, and you're like, haha! And then there's like, whoa, what? And then you transform back into a human, and you can continue fighting. I guess that raises its stock a little bit at least, but still not a really great fruit, right? Okay, so versatility, I guess I'll go even. And then finally we get like miscellaneous, like other advantages and stuff. I also should have put other advantages and disadvantages just to determine like which one is better or worse. Yeah, this is where we get into, I think, where Haki is kind of going to edge this out. Because Haki allows you to damage pretty much anybody. It doesn't matter if they have Logias or whatever. You can hurt them, okay? It doesn't negate their powers, keep in mind. It doesn't negate it like Sea Prism Stone does, but it allows you to hit them if you're skilled enough with it, okay? And if you're skilled enough, or if they're not skilled enough, like Caribou with his Logia, you can hit them, okay? That's a huge advantage when it comes to Haki, and that's one of the main reasons why you would probably want to learn it. You can also combine Haki with other martial arts. So that kind of adds it on to versatility. I should have included that in versatility, but like, you know, Jinbei has Fishman Karate, but you can combine Haki with Fishman Karate. You can combine Haki with pretty much anything. Actually, no, dang. Because you can combine Haki with Devil Fruit abilities, maybe I should give that to the edge in versatility, honestly. Oh man, yeah. I think, by the way, Haki wins, I think, if you've already kind of decided. Yeah, Haki wins. I just wanted to take time to sit down and actually look at it, because I've never done that before. But if you were watching this video, you clicked on it, and you're like, before I even get into it, you're like, yeah, Haki wins, Matt, no duh. It's just like, well, yeah, I came to that conclusion as well, but I wanted to go through all the options, you know what I mean? But yeah, Devil Fruit powers can be combined with Haki as well as any other martial arts. And you don't even have to be, once again, I mean, in this particular instance, you're choosing one or the other. But in the actual context of One Piece, you can have a Devil Fruit. You can have, you know, skills in Fishman Karate or the Happo fighting style. And you could have Haki on top of that, too. It would probably take several years, if not decades, to master all of those things together. You could, oh yeah, so you have somebody that's good at Fishman Karate, eats a Devil Fruit, has Haki, and trains in the art of the sword. You could have somebody with all of those traits in One Piece. It would just take a really long time to learn all of it in any decent capacity, right? So yeah, it's kind of like multi-classing, or like, you know, being in an RPG, and you could decide, I want to go this path and also this path later. You know, you could do that kind of stuff, right? I'm trying to think of any major disadvantages to Haki, though. It does run out, so we saw that with Luffy. You can overuse and overexert your Haki. So if you're an armament user, probably the more you train, the longer you'll increase your time that you're able to use it. But if you know, activate your Haki all over your body, like the full body Haki that Virgo and Pika used, or even Luffy when he's going Gear 4th, he's kind of also using the full body Haki. It's not entirely over his body, but it's a lot on his body. It's covering a big surface area. So with Luffy utilizing it in Gear 4th with his training, he can maintain it for about, I think, 10 minutes. Or it's 10 minutes to recharge. It might even be less than that actually using it in Gear 4th. He has to get the job done quickly when he uses it. Observation has a downside. You have to constantly stay in a focused and calm frame of mind. Even Katakuri, who is somebody that was really trained and he was a master of observation. He could still lose his focus every now and then. Everybody has that one thing that can distract them or can cause them some stress or some strain. Like with Katakuri, it was finding out like someone seeing his mouth or seeing him eating the donuts. That caused him to lose, like to get really pissed and to lose his center or whatever you want to call it. So that's a weakness there. You have to do kind of like additional training, like additional meditation training on top of observation in order to get there. And armament has a limit. Conquerors probably has major limits as well. Like you can knock out people that are your allies if you don't know how to use it properly, and not very many people have Conquerors to begin with. So there are some downsides of Haki there. But the biggest downside of having Devil Fruit abilities is your weakness to water, not just seawater, but any sort of standing water that is, you know, any liquid. It can be the Cloud Sea, or it could be orange juice, or it can be iced tea. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be seawater. If the water is standing and you're into it up to your knees, you start to feel a little woozy. And if it gets up to your waist, then you're pretty much useless. And if you're completely submerged, then you know, your whole body is paralyzed. You can't move. That's a pretty damn big weakness, considering the majority of the One Piece world is covered in freaking water. Sea Prism Stone is also a weakness. And keep in mind, if you're in the One Piece world, if you're going up against the Marines or the Revolutionaries or, you know, pirates or whatever, everybody knows what the weakness of Devil Fruit users are. Water. Everybody knows. Everybody knows if they're up against a Devil Fruit user, knock them overboard, or get some Sea Prism, or get some Sea Prism bolts, or a Sea Prism sword, or, you know, something. Everyone knows what the weaknesses are, right? Now, some Devil Fruit users, you know, obviously they know what their weaknesses are more than anybody, and they know that people are going to be trying to attack them with Sea Prism and trying to knock them in the water. They all know this, so some of them are skilled enough to be like, all right, I'm going to avoid that. But even so, like, look at Marco. Marco had his Devil Fruit for a very long time, like 30 years or something. He had the Phoenix Fruit, and, you know, he knows more than anybody. You know, they're going to try to attack me with Sea Prism. He still got the Sea Prism handcuff on him during Marineford. So even if you're careful, and even if you know what they're going to try to do, you might slip up and someone might get the drop on you and someone might get Sea Prism on you, and then you're screwed. You can't activate your power, and on top of not activating your power, you also get super weak, and you're on a boat and you're sailing from one place to the next, and another ship attacks you. All it could take is one slip up. Quite literally, one slip up. You're on deck, running around trying to fight people with your Devil Fruit power. There's some water on the freaking deck, and you... No! If no one jumps in to save you, you're dead. I can't even imagine how many Devil Fruit users in the past that actually happened to. Can you imagine that? That'd be kind of funny, actually, if, like, a Logia, like, let's say the previous user of, like, the Smoke Fruit, they ate it, and they're like, I have the power of a Logia! Yes! But then one day, you slip up, or you trip or something, and you fall in the water, and you just die, and then there he goes. The Logia's not gonna help you now. And then Smoker gets his hands on him, like, oh, I have the power of smoke. I'm gonna be careful not to fall in the water, maybe like some other people did, you know, like, okay. So, yeah. Devil Fruits versus Hockey, the answer is, at least in my opinion, Hockey. Go all the way. Plus, you get black swords, and those are pretty cool, right? So, yeah, let me know what you feel about this comparison below. Let me know what other categories you would maybe measure it in, and if you did get, even if you know that, like, maybe Devil Fruits are more risky or more dangerous, if you get Isekai into One Piece, would you still go with Devil Fruits? And be like, you know what, Tekking, I don't even care. I know they're rare, and I know I might not even know what the power I get until I eat it, but you got to go with the gamble, you know what I mean? So I would still go with Devil Fruits. If I had to choose between two powers, I would still go with Devil Fruits. I might still, too. You never know. All right, well, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and this will be Tekking 101 signing out. Later.